Tonight is more interesting than it was supposed to be. So this vlog was supposed to start tomorrow morning. See, tomorrow morning I've got a speech for the January orientation for the incoming grad students at the University of New Haven, which is something I've done twice before. You've seen it at least one time on the vlog, about a year ago this week. And I was gonna start the vlog on the way to that speech and kind of talk about motivational speaking and how do you motivate an entire room of strangers to do something that you've actually never done before, i.e. I've never gone to grad school. But then we got the news that tomorrow night in Connecticut, we are going to get 6 to 10 inches of snow overnight. Yeah, none of us can believe it's happening again. And ordinarily that wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, it sucks, but we'll clear the snow and we'll do whatever. But here's the thing. The morning after the snow's coming tomorrow night, so the morning after the snow comes, I was supposed to be driving all the way back to Niagara, New York, which is 20 minutes from Buffalo, where I just was last week. I've got a show at Niagara University that night, so not tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning I've got the speech in Connecticut, then tomorrow night the snow is gonna happen overnight, and the next morning I would be driving to Niagara to do a show that night. The thing is, that 10 inches is supposed to start around midnight and go about till 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know if by the time I'm done clearing the snow, if I'm gonna be able to get out in time to make the 6 or 7 hour drive to Niagara in time to load and set up and do the show safely, comfortably, and within reason for everybody. So about 2 hours ago, I started packing because tomorrow morning after the speech in Connecticut, I'm driving right to Niagara. So I'll let you know how this all goes tomorrow. Alright, on the road to Viridian City. Did anybody else grow up with that Pokemon show and cannot get some of those songs out of your head? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. En route to the first of 6 events in 5 days in 4 states across Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey. But we're not gonna cover that all in this video because, to be honest, after my speech today, I am making the exact same drive from Connecticut to Buffalo, New York that you saw in the previous vlog. What am I gonna do? Make the same vlog again? Rather than make the exact same vlog again, I thought today, even though it's not a Friday Q&A kind of a day, I thought I would address a kind of a popular question/misconception about motivational speaking, which is, what the hell do you do as a motivational speaker? What even is motivational speaking? When people find out that you're a motivational speaker, they're like, huh, so is that like, you know, go get 'em, you can do it, be the best. That is a motivational speaker in the same way that pulling a rabbit out of a hat is a magician.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Presto!
It's a cartoony stereotype that largely doesn't exist in the real world. Now, there are a lot of us, at least from my generation, that have been kind of rallying against the term motivational speaker. Trying to come up with a name other than motivational speaker for what you do is kind of like when magicians say, I do illusions. I don't do tricks, I do illusions.
This is the magic trick, huh?
Illusion, Michael. Trick is something a whore does for money.
Job. How great was Arrested Development? When is that coming back? So what does it really mean to be a motivational speaker? I think people have this idea that motivational speakers are changing lives. Or more likely, I think people have the idea that motivational speakers think that they're changing lives. Neither of those things is true. Motivational speakers don't change people's lives, nor do most motivational speakers think that they're changing people's lives. The easiest, simplest way to put it is that you are the only person that can change your life. You have so many decision points every single day. Things, tiny little decisions that may not seem like they matter, that make up the larger scope of your life. And all these tiny little choices, these tiny little decision points, each one of them doesn't seem monumental at the time. But I think that our lives are made up much more of these tiny decision points than they are of the couple of huge moments that typically stick in our minds. And like I said, the second part there is most motivational speakers do not actually believe that they are changing lives. Most motivational speakers understand that we cannot change somebody else's life. What I'm trying to do when I'm up on stage in front of an audience, I'm trying to say something or show something or make a point that either you're hearing for the first time or you've heard before but have never heard it in a way that connected with you. I'm trying to be the catalyst for you to make the change. For the first time in your life, you may be ready now, and I just happen to be the guy up there that day who is in the situation to help you, cross that line. Or I could just be the right type of personality where you've heard something said a million times before, but you've never heard it said from a person that you felt like you connected with or you felt like understood you. So the first myth about motivational speakers is that we're changing lives or that we think we're changing lives. Neither of those is true. I gotta focus on preparing for today's presentation. We'll pick this up after the presentation. When it actually says your name and not just speaker or guest, it makes you feel really good. It's just a piece of paper printed out on Microsoft Word, but I don't know why. It makes you feel really good. So, University of New Haven, appreciate it. Appreciate it. So yeah, I've been driving for about an hour and a half already. I've got another 5 hours to go. Speech this morning was fantastic. It always, I always, that was my third time doing that grad orientation keynote, and just such an attentive, receptive crowd. And that word receptive for me is one of the biggest things, because as a motivational speaker, just like being a magician or really in any field where you're talking to people have to be open to what you're giving, right? It's a give and take. With any time you're working with an audience or a group of people, you're trying to entertain them or move them or make them laugh or whatever it is, you each create half of the experience. So I can give as much as within me. I can give everything I've got to that speech, to that presentation. I can be emotionally open and vulnerable and lay it all out there. But that's only half of it. They have to be receptive. They have to be willing to meet me halfway. And so this group was really receptive. They were open and willing to listen and take on new ideas, which is such a great thing. It just it makes my job so much easier as a motivational speaker, because when you get a group that really isn't open, they're a little reserved, they're closed off, they're not into it, which that can happen when you go into like a high school. A high school, that age group, it's not that you can't have a great audience at the high school. You can have phenomenal audiences, unbelievable speeches, because high school, that age, that's a real formative, time that you actually have a chance with high school students to really make an impact. But when you first start with like high school age, like 13 to 17, that kind of age, if they've been told they're going to watch a motivational speaker at their, if I was 15 and you said today we're going to an assembly with a motivational speaker, I would have been like, all right, time for a nap. But I guess the topic on my mind right now is kind of, when people, they ask, well, how do you move a room full of different people? Right? Sometimes we talk about the audience as if the audience is a person. Now, audiences tend to take on characteristics similar to how different people have different characteristics. But of course, an audience is not a person. An audience is made up of a group of individual people. And some people wonder, how is it that as a comedian, how do you make all those different people with all their different senses of humor, how do you make them all laugh? If you're a magician, how do you take all these different people with different experiences in their life and different things they're bringing to the table? How do you move them all to the same moment of wonder at the same time? As a motivational speaker, how do you inspire all these different people when you can't individually tailor your words to each person in that audience of this morning, 150 students? And the answer is, you don't. I mean, not really. You really can't expect to inspire every single person in that room, or as a magician to move every person to the state of wonder, or as a comedian to make every single person laugh at every joke. That's an unreasonable expectation. It's kind of like wouldn't that be nice? But if you aim for that, if you try to make everybody happy all the time, you're just gonna fail. There's kind of an adage which says 10% of every audience will love you no matter what you do. And then there's 10% of every audience that's just gonna hate you no matter what you do. They're just not interested when you tell a story. They don't think you're funny. They don't understand the point. They don't know why you're even there. Thing is, you can't worry about the 10% that loves you. They're gonna love you no matter what you do. It's actually not that helpful to play to them. They're gonna love you no matter what. And you can't worry about the 10% that's gonna hate you no matter what you do, because if they're gonna hate you no matter what you do, it doesn't matter how good you are or how funny you are. But that 80% in the middle, that's on you. You worry about that 80% in the middle. All you're trying to do when you're giving a motivational speech is move the needle. Just take those people in the middle and nudge them towards the side that likes you. Give them something that can inspire them. Give them something meaningful. Like 3 or 4 hours since last we spoke. I'm still driving. I've got about an hour to go, but I'm getting pretty close to Buffalo, as you can tell by the Tim Hortons sign at this rest area. I think I'm gonna call it for here. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I know this was an unusual vlog, but we'll be getting back to more typical vlogs, as I feel like I have to sneeze, and so I can't get the rest of this sentence out. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye.
So,
Poor Job.
this is the magic trick, huh?
Illusion, Michael. Trick is something a whore does for money. Or cocaine.